It's a Guy Jeans podcast.
My guest today is Andrea Prise. She is an ag instructor at Bakersfield College. She grew up in the suburbs of Los Angeles County and moved to Bakersfield after graduating high school. She began working in the horse industry and has accumulated over 20 years of experience. She earned her AS degree in animal science at Bakersfield College and her BS in Livestock Production Management at Fresno State. She then started working in the beef industry for 7 years, and while working, she completed a Master's of Ag Science degree in Integrated Resource Management from Colorado State University. She is head coach of the newly formed women's wrestling team, and she is the coach of the Rodeo team at Bakersfield College. My conversation with Andrea is awesome, and we talk about how she started the rodeo team and also her endeavors with the women's wrestling team. Hi Andrea, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really good, and thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super interested in what you do, being a ladies wrestling coach and a rodeo coach. So can you tell me about the wrestling coaching, and then we'll talk about the rodeo coaching as well. So how'd you get into becoming a wrestling coach?
Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story that does have to do with rodeo, of why I became the Bakersfield College women's wrestling coach. So I wrestled in high school for junior and senior year, and then I helped out a couple years ago at South High. I was coaching, assistant coaching there, and then I got into refereeing.
Okay.
And so I've been a referee for the high schools for a few years, and so I've always been involved in wrestling. I've loved this sport. I would have wrestled myself in high school if there was a team, but when I did college, when I came to BC, they only had the men's team, and I wasn't quite 125 pounds to be able to wrestle that weight class. I mean, I'd love to be that problem now, but but yeah. So the men's team had a few girls on their team. Not enough to really form their own, but just this last year, there was enough interest, and they said, well, enough other schools are going to be having their own women's team. We'd like to have a team at BC, so would you like to be the coach, or do you know of coaching a person who would like to coach? And I said, heck yes, please put me in, and that was kind of how it went.
Oh, that's awesome. So is women's wrestling becoming more popular?
Absolutely.
Really?
So yeah, I wrestled in the early 2000s, right when women's wrestling was introduced into the Olympics. And ever since then, I mean, it's just been one of the fastest growing sports. And I think it's the fastest for women's growing sports.
Really?
All of our high schools in Kern County, we all have girls wrestling teams. We're getting more community colleges with women's teams, more universities. I think there's only 4 D1 universities across the United States that have a women's team, but that we're trying to add to it, because it's a big demand, and it's a good sport.
And you're refereeing too.
Yeah. I also referee for the high schools. It keeps me involved. It was my contribution to the sport. Now I can do a little bit more and actually be helping these young athletes figure out how to wrestle in college as well. So it's pretty cool.
I've heard some crazy stories, man. I have a couple friends who are coaches, and it's kind of a bummer. I mean, like, some of the parents get like really into it, and it's like you gotta, like, a friend of mine is a wrestling coach, and he had to throw a parent out. Like, they're so into it. Do you run into that too?
I ignore a lot of things.
That must be hard though, huh?
It is,
Oh,
and that's a big reason why a lot of people don't like to ref, because not only do they have to deal with the coaches, they have parents, they have athletes sometimes that'll give them attitude. But for the most part, if you're doing your job correctly, then no one can really complain. And it's not really the referee's job to make a good match. It's the wrestlers. And so as long as you focus on them being the center of attention, then everything else just kind of goes away.
Yeah. I have two daughters, and, one of them actually goes to Bakersfield College, and, she was an athlete, and, my younger daughter's an athlete as well. And she's only 15, but the parents, some of the parents in the audience, oh my God, they just are out of control. It's like, guys, calm down,
Yeah.
And they give the refs a hard time, and and those guys are out there, they're not making very much money, and they're just it's probably like a little side gig that they do for fun or whatever, stay in shape.
Or they're retired. Yeah.
Run up and down the courts, stay in shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just you really hope that the parents a lot of them are just excited about their kid and going, competing. So you kind of give them that break, but for the most part, the coaches will corral the parents, and if needed, like I've never been in this situation, hopefully never will be, of where I have a parent coming after me. I did have a parent that was also a coach that really kind of got after me, and I was like, hey, this is a sport, the sport. I didn't do anything wrong.
Chill.
Go back. We're finished.
What do you think about the UFC and some of the ladies that are coming from, I'm assuming, from like wrestling and then get into martial arts and then going into that? Do you watch that, or what do you think about that?
I do every once in a while. I'm not like an avid, I'll watch this particular sport and know all the people and know all the details of it. I'm a big supporter of whatever people find enjoyment of.
Nice.
If that's something that they want to compete in, like I can't do it because I can't like punch somebody in the face and like make them bleed. I just would feel kind of bad. Right. But like I can appreciate like, oh man, that was a really good angle, and she landed it perfectly, and man, she's not backing down. She's got the good attitude. Right. That's kind of what I focus on.
Yeah, there's the sportsmanship too. I mean, and some of the women that I've seen in the UFC, their attitudes are really great, and then there's some that are like really not that great, and the ones that usually win are the ones that are humble and pretty respectful, it seems like.
And that's just kind of life, if you're being a pain in the butt and grouchy about everything, it's just not going to come as easy to you. But if you're learning from your mistakes and moving forward, then eventually things kind of shine and you get to reap the benefits of it. So yeah, I can say I agree.
How does a girl become or how does she get into wrestling? Like, does she just approach you and say, hey, I want to try to wrestle? Or they have to
That's really like right now. Yeah, I'm trying to get I have about 8 wrestlers on my team right now. I'm telling them, bring your friends, bring your sisters, bring the people you like, bring the people you don't like bring everybody, because I've got an assistant / one of my older wrestlers that she's kind of wanting to hang up her competition shoes, but she's still like wanting to be on the mat. So I'm like, okay, let's put you in a leadership position of running the part of the practice, and I can work with the youngins, the ones that don't know anything. Yeah. So we kind of have that opportunity to do both, of like, if you've never been on the mat before but you're interested in it, it's still you can come out, and I don't have a full roster, so I'm not going to turn anybody down.
So like if they let's say that they're wrestling at 125 pounds, do they have to come in at 125 pounds or less? And then if they're over like a pound, do they have to get down to that 125? How does that all go down?
It depends. Like if you're signed up, if we had a roster of, I think it's 101 all the way up to 235, and we had a person at each weight class, then that wrestler would try to make that weight class that they're at. So like 150.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have to make 150. You know where you are the day before you go weigh in.
Yeah.
So, if you're having trouble making that weight, then sometimes that's not the weight class for you. Or maybe you're like way under and you don't perform as well because you're too close to the next weight class down when everyone else has like an extra 2-3 pounds on you.
Yeah.
So like when you get down to it, yeah, if you're going for that weight class, then yes, you would have to maybe go on an extra run, or not eat as many cheeseburgers that week,
Right.
but you definitely like keep your intake and your outtake, your expenditure of energy down to a T, so that you really know where you're going to be at and you can make that weight class.
Okay. So what makes a good wrestler?
I, think attitude. We were just talking about the UFC fighters. Your attitude. If you're, not really the most agile and maybe a little slow, you can still beat the ones that are studs by just staying after it. Like there's some really good wrestlers technically,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't really keep up with stamina, or there's some really strong muscular wrestlers, but they just are too slow on the reaction or taking their shot when it's their chance. So that's what's so cool about wrestling, is that there's so many different things. So having good stamina, having good agility, having good reaction time, and then the mental fortitude to keep moving even when you are tired. And that wrestler that you're going against is tired too. Being able to just work through that's what really is a good wrestler. And sometimes you'll have good days and sometimes you'll have bad days, and but you can lean on your technique a little bit more and be a little faster for someone who is usually stronger than you. So it's not always just you have to have this, and this. You can mold it to make it work for you. And that's what's so cool about it, because sometimes it's like a toss-up of like who's gonna be the winner, because you really thought it was this, and then all of a sudden there's an upset and the other person won. So it's always fun. It's never what you think it's gonna come out like.
So you're a rodeo coach too?
Absolutely, yes.
What does a rodeo coach do? How do you do that?
For this rodeo coach position, I'm the college coach. So really I schedule out practices. I help a lot of the students like figure out what events they want to compete in. A lot of it is paperwork of just doing the admin part. Since all of these, what I'm dealing with, they're all in college, they're all adults. For the most part, they already have an idea of what they want to do or what they want to compete in. So I'm just really their advocate to get them into the rodeo that's coming up, make sure they make all the deadlines, make sure they're staying on top of it's a lot of what we do for all the other athletic departments. Make sure their grades are good, make sure they're aware of what competitions are coming and how to get that paid for. So yeah, it's pretty similar to any other coach position. Yeah.
So Bakersfield College has a rodeo program. That's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, this is our third year.
That's awesome.
It's been a whirlwind just trying to get it going. But yeah, and that's what I like to hear, that people say, well, I never knew, because that means that more people are learning about it. So, it's kind of getting me down for a while. I was like, why doesn't anyone know about it anymore? But we're only in our third year. And what's hopefully going to put us on the map this year is that we're having our first home rodeo.
Awesome.
Where all the other colleges come to our town and they get to compete in our town.
Oh, nice.
So,
Where do you guys do that at?
It's going to be at the Kern County Fairgrounds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
I'm excited.
Have you guys done the Kernville Rodeo?
Not as a college, but individual competitions. Yeah,
Okay.
they've all entered individually. That is an open rodeo, so anyone can go from like 12 years old to 212.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we've helped out. I don't think we were able to help out at Kernville this last year.
Uh-huh.
We did have a couple barrel racers and breakaway ropers, a couple bull riders from Bakersfield area that do go to BC that they went up and competed. So it's always that's a good rodeo to watch.
Yeah. When is your guys' rodeo?
It's going to be November 11th.
Oh, nice.
So it's on Veterans Day.
Okay. Cool. We'll definitely promote that. Yeah, I think,
Cool.
getting the word out there, I mean, this is another way to get it out there. I mean, there's a lot of listeners that listen to this podcast, so they'll learn about it and hopefully go check it out,
Yeah, that's where, I was asked the other day of what our expected attendance is. And I said, well, the fairgrounds told me that the grandstands hold 3,700 people. So that's what I want.
Of course. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to have every single seat filled.
Absolutely. So how do these, they're youngsters too, young people. So how do they practice? Do they have a place that they go and practice at BC, or do they practice at their houses, their own ranches and stuff like that?
With it being our third year, we don't have like a home practice arena, but the first 2 years we were just using the students' backyards, and whoever had an arena or who had a little bit of open space. This last year we've been able to practice down at Rancho Rio Stables. The Cowboy Church and the Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Club have allowed us to use their arena, so it's been awesome. We're able to practice down there twice a week, and then we practice
cool.
another time. I know it's because it's got roping boxes and it's got lights, and we're not like having to have headlights out so that we can see in the dark.
Oh, I know, old school. What about, like, are they doing like bull riding and bronc riding, like some of the kids doing that kind of stuff too?
We had a bull rider. We had one bull rider last year. And he was so excited. I kept trying to get him all year long, and he finally said, yeah, he'll do it. So he was able to go compete in Las Vegas at the UNLV rodeo. So, but he was practicing over at Jerry Tinoco's. It's the Tinoco's Bucking Bulls. So that's a place off of Fairfax. It's a practice pen that a lot of youngsters get to go practice there. And I think that he went over once or twice over to Funny Farm. It's Frankie Cadena also has a bull riding arena. Awesome bulls, awesome people. I mean, my rough stock people I send over there because they've got the setup, they've got the bulls, they've got the help. And they've got the good knowledge of like what it takes to actually ride bulls. So, I send them over to them.
How do you feel about I see some of the bull riders wearing helmets and then some of them not wearing helmets. And it's kind of like the same thing with like surfing, you're starting to see more surfers, like at Pipeline wear helmets, and some of them don't wear helmets, so how do you feel about that?
I think whatever continues the sport is what we need to do.
Right.
I had a friend, so I went to college up at Fresno, and I'd go to Jerry Brown's bull riding every Thursday night, and I'd go watch them all ride. And a couple years later, he was still riding bulls, and he had a bull step on him, and it crushed the helmet,
Oh my God.
it took his ear off.
Oh.
But if he wasn't wearing the helmet, he would have died. So, I know it might look weird or feel funny, but if it's the protection of the rider and, it makes them more confident and doing things more correctly, it's not going to hurt the bull, not going to hurt the people around. So I'm for it. Yeah.
So what about clowns? Did you guys have clowns too?
Are you saying you want to come be our clown for the event?
I would love to do that. Do you have to find those people to do that, or is there professional people that do that?
There are professional clowns. This year we're kind of low budget, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're just starting out, as basic as we can. We're not going to have a clown, but we will have some entertainment for our rodeo. We're going to have the Escaramusas. What are they? Escaramusas Gazelas, I think is their last name, their full name. So they do in the full Mexican dress, and they do kind of like a drill team. It's really cool to watch. So they're going to be our entertainment.
Cool.
So no, we won't have a clown there poking at people in the stands, but I'm sure that our announcers will be keeping everyone awake.
Those clowns, I mean, they're the people that are protecting the cowboys and the rodeo folks. They're called clowns, right? The ones that kind of dress like clowns.
Those would be our bullfighters.
Okay.
We do. Those are required.
Okay, yeah, and don't they dress? Sometimes they dress like in clown suits, right?
Yeah. They'll have sometimes they'll have face paint, or sometimes they'll just have little distracting outfits so that they get the bull's attention when needed. Like they'll have like little flags on their pants and things. But
that's a gnarly job, man. I mean, those guys they're running, and I mean, and is that's like kind of a paid position, right? Like those guys, and you start, is there levels in that? Like some of those guys move up into like the national rodeos, and they get paid more, kind of a thing, because they're good.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, there's actual bullfighting competitions. Those are pretty cool to watch. Well, they'll throw a bull in the arena, and you get judged on how you do your spins or your jump overs or your turnbacks, or how that's even a little competition in itself, not just a paid gig. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and those guys are like some serious athletes. A lot of people probably have no idea, huh? They bend around and stretch over here and do all that. Plus, they get sometimes launched themselves by the bull.
And do their own effort, and then they land correctly too. You're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I wish I could have half the agility that they show fighting bulls. I wish I could take that and like transform it over to my wrestlers, because movement is movement, and if you can do it good in the arena, and you can do it good on the wrestling mat, you can be like taking everyone out. So go for a takedown out of nowhere.
Totally. So do you have horses as well?
Yes, I have 4 horses.
Do you really?
I wish I could have like 200. Like, I love my horses. They're awesome.
Horses are awesome. I used to do a lot of packing. I have a fly fishing business up here in Kernville, and so we would go up into the Golden Trout Wilderness and everything. And when I first started doing that, I don't do it anymore, but I did it for about 10 years straight. And the first year I did it, man, I was a mess, because I hadn't ridden a horse all that much. I was pretty jacked up. But after a while, like the second or third year, it started not to hurt me anymore. It was really strange, But I loved it. You go way back into the wilderness with your horse and pack animals, and we would fly fish way back there. Have you ever done any of that kind of stuff?
I've done a little bit out of the Kern Plateau. I did some camping back in there, some trail rides. I've always wanted to do a pack trip, but we haven't done that yet. So I don't know. Every summer I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to disappear for like a week, or maybe 2 weeks, or maybe a month. I don't know. Yeah. But I haven't done it yet.
It's crazy. Like after a while, you're you get to know the animals, and their names and their personalities. And I'll tell you a little story. So we were way back in there, and I would take 6 to 8 people in at a time. And so these are huge pack trains, right, with all these horses, but also all the mules that brought all our gear in, right? And so there was this one mule named Popcorn. And Popcorn was always starting something, like with the other mules and stuff. And Popcorn one time bit one of the other mules when they're going up this trail, and it just turned into a nightmare. Like the whole pack. I don't know if you've ever seen that happen. Like
just all fall apart.
Oh my God! Fly rod over here, sleeping bags over there. They're running down the trail. I mean, it's just a complete chaos.
Oh yeah.
And I call it horse drama, but it's like it would happen quite a bit.
Oh, it's always in the worst spots. Like it can't happen out in the middle of like flat area where you can pick everything up. But yeah.
So we had a couple of interesting accidents back there too with people, and then I'm like, I think I'm going to do something else because people started getting hurt and stuff, and it was kind of getting bad out there. But so what else can you tell me about the rodeo and stuff? Anything else going on? Like any other ones lined up for after November?
We actually have one the day before. It's going to be up in Coarse Gold. Fresno State is putting theirs on. Oh. And then ours is November 11th, so that'll finish off our fall season. Spring season starts up out in West Hills or at West Hills College in Coalinga. And I believe that Allen Hancock is also having their first rodeo this season too. So, and then after that, we go to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So we get to go out to the beach.
Awesome.
We all love that one.
Uh-huh.
Cal Poly Encuesta hosts that rodeo. And then the final is at in Las Vegas at the South Point Arena. That's hosted by University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So we get to spend like the whole weekend in the middle of May out in Vegas. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool. So if somebody's listening to this podcast and wants to join the rodeo crew, or rodeo, is it called rodeo team or rodeo club or? We
have both.
Okay. If they want to join that, how do they join that, and how do they get in touch with you?
The Rodeo Club, it's open to all Bakersfield College members. We host a meeting I think it's the first Monday of every month. So anyone can join that as long as they're going to Bakersfield College. For joining the team to be able to compete on the collegiate level, there are a few rules. You have to do membership. You have to provide your own animal, your own equipment and everything. But those questions can be sent to me. You can either send me an email or look up our Instagram, Facebook page. I've got the handle on all those. It's the Rodeo Team at Bakersfield College.
Nice. Okay.
For both Instagram and for Facebook.
Okay. And then if somebody, lady, wants to check out the wrestling program, how would they get in touch with you with that?
So we also have an Instagram for our wrestling team. It is lady.renegades.wrestling. And then you can also send me an email, andrea.prise@bakersfieldcollege.edu.
Okay, cool. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I learned a lot. I love it. I love that you're so passionate about both of those things, man. It's awesome.
I feel so lucky to be able to have, the opportunity to be involved in both. And, I went to BC. I've always loved the school. And just to be able to come back and help out, it's just been kind of a dream come true. It's awesome. So thank you for having me. I can talk all day.
I'm going to try to get some folks and come out on November 11th to the rodeo. That sounds like a lot of fun.
You bet. And since it is on Veterans Day, we are veterans come in for free. So
okay, good to know.
Bring all your veterans. We're also doing an opening ceremony for veterans. So if you have anyone who wants to be in the arena, either joined with their brothers or they just feel like they want to come be down in the arena, all for veterans to come down and join us down there.
Okay. Well, thanks again. And I hope to see you sometime soon, and take care.
Same here. And thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
the Guy Jeans Podcast.